Stone here, making a repair to his boat.
Hey guys, this is Lee here. Have you ever been thinking about getting a new sunfish? Or maybe you're sailing an older sunfish and thinking about upgrading to a new sunfish. Well, did you know that there's a brand new sunfish in a limited edition that's coming out to dealers near you? Now I'm going to review the 2022 Sunfish World's edition of the Sunfish Sailboat. Whether you sail a new sunfish, an older sunfish, one with the rolled edge of fiberglass, or one with the metal rim, you're going to find the information in this video really interesting, as I got to sail the brand new 2022 Sunfish World's Edition boat that was held just in September in Lake Garda, Italy. You're going to want to listen to this video all into its entirety, because I'm going to tell you how the boat sailed, how it felt, what changes were made by the builder, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and my own opinions, and if you should take delivery of a World's Edition sunfish. Now, I want to address this one thing that I've heard several times over the last year. Why, if I don't race, should consider a racing sailboat? Well, I'll tell you why. How many people out there have BMWs and Porsches? Now, those people, are they racing? I think not. Most people own BMWs and Porsches and even high-performance Toyotas. They don't race. They just want something that's going to handle well and it's going to be a lot of fun to drive. And that's the same reason why you would consider getting a racing rigged sunfish. It's because it's a lot more fun to sail. But if you could take 1 second to go ahead and smash that like button and turn it blue, I really appreciate it. It helps out the YouTube algorithm and it helps spread the sunfish word. Thanks a lot, and I really appreciate it. So let's go over what a 2022 Sunfish World's boat is. Now, every year for the last umpteenth years, most of the years, the builder has supplied boats specifically for the World Championship for the Sunfish class. Now, the Sunfish class runs events like the North Americans and the World Championships. And for the World Championships, every sailor gets a brand new boat that they put together. Now, these boats are only used for about a week, and then after that, they're distributed all to different vendors across the world, and those boats are now sold to the general public. Let me first say that I'm not sponsored, and you'll get my fair opinion, and this opinion is only mine. I did sail the sailboats. I was there and I witnessed pretty much all the things that was going on in Italy. So this video is going to be very interesting if you're interested in a sunfish sailboat. So let's go over what a 2022 World Sailboat is. The World Sailboat, like I said, has been sailed in this World Championship race. So when they get delivered, they should have a full race rig, which also includes a brand new SciTech dolly. When I say brand new, I mean brand new, and they've been used for that 1 week. Now, what does that mean for people who are not familiar with racing boats? Now, it's generally a sunfish. It's the same hull as a regular sunfish, except these are racing upgrades. So they have a bigger racing sail, and the racing sail is designed specifically for the 2022 World Championship held at Lake Garda, Italy, at Circolo Vela Torboli, which is the yacht club that sponsored the race. There's a green top, a white center, and a red bottom in the triangles, and they are regular racing sails that are reinforced like a normal racing sail, except it has the graphics of the 2022 Worlds. In my opinion, these sails were really nice looking, and for the most part, most sails throughout the years are cut pretty close. You'll get some other sailors that will argue one way or another that the sails are slightly cut from year to year differently, and also maybe the inks that are used for the graphics can make the sail a little bit heavier. However, in general, the racing sail is a racing sail. What else is different on this boat that is different from a regular recreational boat? It also has an adjustable gooseneck, so you can move the boom back and forth depending on the wind conditions. And it includes all the racing upgrades, especially the lines. You'll get a halyard, a second halyard to do just in case you want to do a gens rig. I made a video, you could check that out, on the 4 different ways to do a gens rig. or a second halyard, you could check that out. I'll leave a link down in the description below. Also, it comes with modern blades. The blades are fiberglass reinforced or resin blades, and the shapes are optimized for racing. They are not the wooden blades. Now, speaking of wooden blades, this is an aside. This is an Aero South dagger board. This blade is wooden. However, the shape and size have been optimized, but this is a recreational blade. It can be used for racing, but not in Sunfish class legal events. So that's an aside. The sail controls are included in the boom, meaning there's a Cunningham cleat and an Outhaul cleat. You could add those Cunningham cleats and Outhaul cleats to regular booms for the Sunfish, and they include the lines for the Outhaul and Cunningham. Another upgrade that is for racing boats, and I believe that the recreational newer boats that are sold by Laser Performance and the dealers, they do have ratchet blocks. So this one has a ratchet block included, and it also has your regular racing main sheet. In the cockpit, you do have a hiking strap, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the video, so check that out. It also has a double wishbone tiller, which is really nice. They're very stiff and strong. And it also has the hiking stick. So when you do take delivery of these boats, they will be competitive out of the box, comparable with any other Sunfish that's been race rigged or modified for racing. Now, a few dealers that I know of will have these boats for sale in the next few weeks. You can contact them. You can give them a call and make an order and leave a deposit down. I am not sponsored by anyone, so I'm just giving this out as information. And I know sunfishdirect.com will have some boats. I know the Dinghy Shop in Amityville, New York will have some World's boats. And I'm not sure if Vela Sailing Supply will have the boats, but check it out. You could call LP or contact them, and they'll get you a dealer network, or just, I'll leave the links down below. Now, why would you buy a World sailboat versus a brand new Sunfish that has never been used? One, when they come with a package, these are now called event boats, and a lot of times the dealer will give a substantial discount of several $100s off the price of the boat, and now it has a package with a dolly a lot of times. So it should come, I'm not saying it should, it could come with a dolly included with the package. Sometimes when you buy a brand new Sunfish, the dolly is extra. Now, if you've been sailing a Sunfish for the last 10 years, 15 years, 40 years, you're going to want to know what is brand new about these Sunfish sailboats. So if you've been watching my videos, there has been some major changes in the Sunfish, the way it's been manufactured. The way it's been manufactured now is much different from when they were manufactured in Rhode Island. Now they're manufactured under one roof along next to Lasers and other Laser Performance boats, and they got rid of the foam blocks. This is not any different from the last couple of years for the Sunfish. They added airbags for flotation, and they got rid of the foam blocks. And so that makes a difference. So there is a weight savings in the boat, not necessarily just because of the foam blocks, but the boats coming off the lot. If you watched my video from last year's Worlds held in Sarasota Sailing Squadron, I actually showed how to weigh a Sunfish, so you can check that out. I'll leave a link down in the description below, how to weigh a Sunfish. These boats are coming off the line at about 122 pounds. Also, along with trying to weigh a Sunfish, you could also check out my other video that Eugene Schmidt and his dad helped with installing an inspection port, and you could actually see one of the airbags in the hull that they used. I'll leave a description down below on that one. You could check that out too. So Laser Performance, who is the builder right now, decided to upgrade the way they do manufacturing of the Sunfish hull back when the first rolled edges were introduced back in the late 80s. So it's pretty much a new Sunfish design, except with all the dimensions. Pretty much all the dimensions are still a Sunfish. The Sunfish kind of feels the same when you sail it. It's a little bit lighter, but I've sailed with a regular Sunfish from 12, 15 years ago versus a brand new Sunfish, and it really depends on the sailor if you're going to do well or not. The boat is not going to make the end-all difference. It really is the sailor. Now, saying that, yeah, it's really the sailor versus a brand new boat versus an older boat. However, if you're sailing an older boat that is leaking water, it's heavy and it's weighing 140, 150 or more pounds, then the boat is going to make a huge difference. You can't put 8-time world champion Eduardo Cordero in a 250-pound boat and expect him to win. He won't be able to accelerate as fast as a brand new boat. He won't be able to sail as fast. So if you put someone really good in a Sunfish, and it's an older Sunfish that's the same, that's a quality Sunfish versus a new Sunfish, it's going to be very equal. And this goes for any boat, whether it be a Sunfish, an Opti, a Laser, or even a big yacht. A lighter boat generally performs better than an old, soggy, wet boat, no matter what the brand is. Now, should you spend money on getting a brand new Sunfish? Well, in my life, I've bought one brand new Sunfish, one additional World Sailboat, and I actually sail a World's Edition sailboat right now as my primary Sunfish. And I could say that with my experience that buying a World's boat was a great deal for me. Back in 2006, when the Worlds were in Charleston, South Carolina, I decided to buy the boat. I went to the dinghy shop, and buying a World's boat, there's some things that I'm going to tell you that I think are important. Now, my close friend Jerry, he actually taught me a lot about sailing. He's one of my mentors. He called me and asked me, and he was thinking about getting a brand new boat from the Italy Worlds, and he asked me what I thought about the boat. So I gave him my honest opinion, and I'm going to give you the same opinion that I gave Jerry. Now remember, I know I repeated this before, I am not sponsored by anybody. I'm not getting any benefits or kickbacks or products. So this is my opinion. It's only my opinion, and it's from my experience from sailing at the Worlds, and also my opinion from buying previous Worlds boats in 2006 and sailing and owning another Worlds boat that was held in Texas. And I told Jerry, when I bought my boat back in 2006, I was lucky enough to be close to the dinghy shop where I bought the boat from, and I actually got to inspect every single hull that he took delivery with until I found the hull that was right for me. And the reason why I wanted to inspect these hulls is, one, I didn't know who sailed the boats when they got delivered. And two, I wanted to make sure they weren't damaged at all. One, because when you're racing, those boats could rub rails or they could be damaged with a little chip here and there. I wanted as good a boat as possible coming off of a world race course and then being shipped in a container all the way up to the destination after they were packed. So I wanted to make sure of certain things. They didn't have scratches on them. They didn't have pieces missing in them. And another thing is, I wanted to make sure the boat didn't take on any water. I wanted a 100% perfectly dry boat. You have to remember, buying a new used event boat, you're buying a boat that was previously used for a week. Granted, they are basically brand new. If there was damage to the boat, there's a procedure at the Worlds to notify the builder who has representatives there to make sure they know about that damage, so it could be fixed or taken off the assembly line or do whatever they do with a damaged boat.
We got, what's your name? Jorga and Phil, right? Yes. Thanks a lot from LP. We really appreciate it.
Guys.
So if there's any damage during construction, during the race, or during transportation, I wanted to know about it, so I got lucky enough that I was close enough to inspect the boat. I looked at about 3 or 4 holes before I found one that I was happy with and know that I got a boat that I would enjoy for years and years. I also wanted a boat that didn't have any things on it. For instance, a lot of people have put some tape on it. There might be a little bit of tape residue on it. There might be a scuff mark from some electrical tape. I use electrical tape on my hull, and there might be a little bit of adhesive on there. That's really not a deal breaker for getting any type of boat. You could take some acetone or some soap and water and just wash it off. But for me, when I was able to look at a boat, I wanted to make sure the gudgeon bracket was not destroyed. I wanted to make sure there was no chips or cracks or any gouges, or the splash rail was fine. And I wanted to make sure there was no dings or anything on the boat. So I got lucky, and I was able to choose my boat from Charleston at the Worlds on Long Island, where I'm from, and I got to take delivery of a specific boat. I also, with the help of my friend, we put the boats on their side to make sure there wasn't any water in them. I don't remember if there's any water in the other boats. Probably not. the ones that I bought or the ones I checked, I knew they were dry. One thing you also have to remember that when you're sailing a world championship, these people are sailing. They're not learning how to sail. They're not running in the bulkheads. One thing you should know about Lake Garda, Italy, it is fresh water. By the time they were sailed in September, by the time you take delivery, you're not going to have to worry about saltwater damage if it wasn't rinsed off well. And that is a really big advantage of getting a boat that's sailed out of a lake, a freshwater lake like Lake Garda. When you're making 100 of anything and you're putting them on an assembly line, you're dealing with handmade products, you're dealing with fiberglass, you're dealing with resins, and you're dealing with something that's going to float in the water. So anytime you're dealing with something like a boat or a sailboat or even a powerboat, there's a chance that water can get in the hull. Now my boat personally, I know is dry throughout the whole regatta. I checked it several times and I checked it at the end of the regatta. There was not one drop of water. So the unfortunate thing is I didn't have a leaking boat to be any excuse. Now saying this, I know of at least 2 boats, maybe 3, that I actually saw water come out of. If anyone from LP or Laser Performance wants to contact me, you could leave a comment down below, or my email is in my channel. You could check that out and I'll be happy to listen to your comments. And if you want to make a response to this video, I'll be happy to do a response video from Laser Performance. So you're always welcome to contact me. If any one of you viewers has any questions or comments, don't forget to leave them in the comment section down below. I read all the comments. My findings that the top 5 people or top 6 people, like JP Trajanese, who won the event, Juan Megli, David Hernandez, Caterina Romero, I asked them if they had any issues with their boats. They reported no issues with their boats. I personally had one minor issue that I'm going to discuss with you later on in the video. So one thing you should know about this 2022 Garda boats from Italy is that it's a Sunfish. It handled like a Sunfish. It sailed like a Sunfish. So you're not going to feel any bad difference other than it's lighter, so it sails really well, and it feels like a Sunfish. Another observation that I made that is brand new for this particular Sunfish, that they moved the hiking strap mount from lower in the cockpit to higher in the cockpit. And that affected at least 1 or 2 sailors because the angle of the hiking strap was not low anymore. It was higher, and the front part was towards the block. And so some sailors did not like that the hiking strap was a little higher. I personally had no issues with it. I think anyone who had shorter legs or maybe a shorter stature may have had an issue. I am not sure, but they did figure out how to do it by shortening the hiking strap a little bit and modifying it to their liking. That's an individual preference, and I don't think that would be an issue about buying a boat. Now there is reinforcements behind the bulkhead in the front part of the cockpit, so if you wanted to move that mount lower to get to the original part, you're more than welcome to just move it. That's not too hard to do. So is the mounting plate of the hiking strap a deal breaker? Absolutely not. Now, I promise I'll tell you about one specific little thing that happened to my boat. I didn't actually notice on any of the other boats. I think I was the only boat with a sail where the grommets on the bottom of the sail with the sail ties were actually stamped in the incorrect position. And it didn't really affect too much of the sailing. However, most of the grommets are set at a certain position. Now, my grommets were actually set about 6 inches too close to the tack. What that did was make my sail tie hit my Cunningham cleat. Is this a deal breaker? No. But for me, it was a little annoying that when they punched the grommets, they punched it right on top of where the Cunningham cleat is. So that actually made my sail a little bit hard to control. I actually had to loosen up my sail tie a lot. And by the time I figured that out, it was after day 1. Is it a deal breaker? No. Is it going to affect most people? It's not going to affect 99.9% of the people. It's going to affect the 1 or 2 people like me who notice things like this. I only noticed that on my particular sail. I didn't see it on any other sail. It was just a one-off mistake. So I wanted to share that with you for total transparency. But the next thing I'm going to tell you is a huge thing where I'm not even sure LP is going to want me to say this. However, I did communicate with LP about this, and this is what I want you to know, which I think is important for you to know if you want to or think about buying a brand new Sunfish from the 2022 World Championship held at Lake Garda, Italy. Now, the issue is that when they delivered the boats, they delivered them with end caps, mast base caps with plastic. And that plastic came from 3D printed materials. After the first day of racing and the first practice day, it was evident that the materials that they were using, they used a different material to manufacture these mast caps. And the material was definitely inferior. There was a lot of wear and tear on the caps after only a couple of hours of sailing, and a few of them, or actually several of them, broke. Now, this affected sailing a lot if you had a broken end cap, especially at your clew, which is the end of the spar, which holds the back part of the sail, and your sail is now fluttering in the wind. You still could sail, but it's definitely not going to be the sail shape that everyone is used to. So after the first day, the people at Laser Performance and a few sailors, including real knowledgeable multiple champion Mike Ingham, came up with a fix, a solution for the Worlds. They decided you had to jury rig some sort of lashing mechanism with some real strong line, and this actually succeeded throughout the whole World Championship. Now, some people who decided not to do the fix, they might have had a failure of these end caps. Now, were you going to absolutely have a failure on the end caps? No, but the failures were significant. There were several of them throughout the first practice day. The materials are inferior to what they have done in the last 40 years, so there shouldn't have been a change in materials. The fix was successful in the World Championship. Thank goodness that the World Championship wasn't hinged just on this, I'm going to call it a defective part, because that would have been a shame to get any significant merit taken away from you from a defective boat part. Now, so all these boats are being delivered back to Laser Performance or to the dealers. I did contact Laser Performance, and Laser Performance guaranteed me that they are going to change out the end caps, the bottom ones, the front ones, and the top one on the spars, and also the mast base. My mast base was made from the 3D material printed material, and it eroded on the bottom of the base, and my friend Dominic also sailed. His looked like Swiss cheese after he took it out of the mast base. So how can you tell if you have an original end cap or one of those new 3D printed material end caps? Well, when I first saw these end caps, within a second, I knew that they were 3D printed. 3D printed materials have little ridges because the plastic is added little strip by little strip by little strip, and those little strips of plastic make the surface not perfectly smooth. They're kind of rough, and they have this friction surface on them. The older end caps are smooth, while the 3D printed material are visually have ridges in them. So if you see end caps with ridges in them, or if you take a look at the end caps and you see that there's worn areas where the line is supposed to go into, don't take the end caps. Get at least the original end caps delivered with your boat, or have the dealer change those end caps out. I actually spoke to Chris McClellan and I addressed the issue with him. He said any boats that are getting delivered from his company, sunfishdirect.com, will indeed have the original end caps put in, not 3D printed materials, even if he had to replace them himself. Now, Laser Performance has told me that they are going to change everything before they go out to the general public. And now, if they use the older caps that have been proven over the last 40 years, then by all means, I would endorse getting one of these boats. They were really good boats, and they were a lot of fun to sail, and they're really nice looking. I think that I love the sail. I love the green, white, and red. But if there was any deal breaker, it would be these mast caps. But I have assurance from LP that they are changing them before they go out to the general public. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section down below. When they change them like they said they were going to be, these boats are going to be fantastic, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with them. You could sail them for years, and then if you wanted to upgrade or change the boat, you could probably sell it for almost what you get for it. So in that case, yes, I would endorse getting a brand new Sunfish World's Edition 2022 from Lake Garda, Italy, hosted by Vella Torboli here. This is what I told my friend Jerry, and he just put in an order with the dinghy shop. He's getting a brand new boat, and I told him exactly what I'm telling you right now. If you like this content, please don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you like this content, check out the video right here. I guarantee you'll like that one too. Thanks, and I'll see you on the water.